I think I understand the thought process of it because, Cade, from everything that I've observed and seen, is a Michigan guy. And I think the same with JJ. But to our point that we were making, just the landscape of college football, when you have a high level 5-star, especially quarterback, because that's the deodorant that could mask just about everything, that you only going to have so much time to sit him on the bench before he's looking to go.
Mhm.
And that it just is what it is. I mean, there's 130 programs out there in college football, and that's just in what, Power 5 and G5.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many opportunities where,
A
like
lot
Mark
that
just
would
said,
love to have him,
if
and
there's
they
only
would take him to stay.
35 5-stars, let's say 3 of them are quarterbacks. Okay,
Mhm.
so so at any given time, roughly, there's 12 5-star quarterbacks in college football. So, okay, great, that's top 12. If I'm 15 to 25, I'd like to play. I want to play. That's what all these guys want to do. They want to play. And I
Yeah.
do understand that they love Michigan and love Ann Arbor and love, I'm sure, the teammates, and because you don't spend that much time around guys and not grow to love them. Like, they are your brothers. But at the same time, too, a lot of these guys understand that if I'm a high level 5-star quarterback, or even just a high level 4-star quarterback, the opportunity that I have is only 3 to 4 years. And if I spend half of that time sitting on the bench, not getting any reps, well, my opportunity to go to the next level is greatly diminished. You could just argue, just on sheer numbers, it's diminished by 50%. So how
Also
much?
perception. Also
Mhm.
perception, Des, because like in the scenario that we were painting out, not saying it's going to happen, but the scenario that we portrayed potentially is that JJ clearly is being heralded as the next thing here, right? And that is evident. I don't care what you say. Oh, but look, no, they play him because you see he brings a different element to the game. Sure, he does. It's slightly different in Cade, but not by that much. And the reason why you saw JJ sprinkled in throughout the season, the main motivation behind it, because you want the kid to feel connected. You want him to feel as a part of the team, a part of the everyday, a part of the game, right? You don't want him wondering like, oh man, like, because only human nature. Just as it's human nature to get connected and love in university, it's also human nature to doubt yourself and feel like, man, they're doing pretty good without me right now. I mean, I can do that too, or man, maybe, because think about it, right? If you're JJ, here's the conundrum: if K was a junior or senior, this is not even a warrior conversation. K
Right.
has many years of eligibility left, so that's where the conundrum comes into play. Because at some point, both these guys are going to have eligibility, and they can't start. They
Not
won't
both
be able
of
to
them.
start.
Not here.
Not
Both
here.
can't start. Right.
So, like, at some point, there will be a decision made, and best believe whoever is not starting will not just take sitting down, because and probably they shouldn't. If K gets replaced by JJ in spring camp, a guy who just won a Big Ten title at the very least, started all year, will have plenty of opportunities to start right away.
Hmm.
Right away.
Agreed. Agreed.
And we're not talking about Oregon State, right? No disrespect to any Beaver fans out there, okay? Like it, he would have plenty of opportunities. North Carolina probably needs a quarterback. Sam Howell's leaving. I'm just throwing it out there, right? It's
Yep.
just so, and same thing with JJ. So it's just like, guys, no one wants anyone to leave, but you just have to take your fandom emotion aside and just look at how college football is happening. Mark, you seen as an Ohio State fan all the time. You guys probably, I will argue, you lost the best quarterback you guys would have had talent wise in the last 10 years in Joe Burrow. He couldn't make it. He couldn't get on the field. But I think Joe Burrow is better than any quarterback you guys have had in the last 10 years, talent wise. So I don't know what you
Well,
think.
and I think a lot of times when you're 17 and 18 years old, you look at the exception and not the rule. You look at Joe Burrow and you say, "Oh, that's me. That's my exact situation. So let me transfer and go somewhere else." Not thinking about the Blake Barnett's of the world who transfers to USC and then he goes to USF and then he ends up, I think, in a MAC school and ends up not doing anything. Like, so guys see the huge story and not realize that Joe Burrow is 1 out of 100. I mean, the transfer portal is on Twitter just every day. You probably see 10 to 15 kids getting in the transfer portal. This so and so's in the transfer portal. They threw for 1,600 yards. Like it's just guys see the one exception to it and just assume that that is how it's going to happen for all of them. And unfortunately, that's not the case. But these guys, it's crazy to me the amount of kids in the transfer portal. But nonetheless, yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. Is one of these two guys will probably be in the transfer portal after spring ball. And if I was Jim Harbaugh, I would name a starter after spring just because. And I know we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but I would name a starter after spring just to give whatever guys doesn't win it, right? Say it's Cade. I would name him the starter in spring so that JJ gets an opportunity to go somewhere else and learn in the summer versus trying to make that transfer in August when he finds out at the week before game week that I'm not going to start. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think if anything, that curse season should definitely go to Cade. Like if Cade gets replaced with what he did for Harbaugh this season, that team, I think that would be the perfect scenario if it played out like that. You say, hey son, kid, we're gonna go this direction, and I think that would be. I just think that's how it plays out. I think people talk about this 2-quarterback system. That guys, it's just this ain't Purdue, okay? This isn't what Jeff Baum. Going out there doing 3 quarterbacks, okay? Like that's cute. A true freshman's first year on campus, but the more, I mean, come on now, you go through the whole off season, and now he fully knows the playbook. He's like, okay, all right, you guys sprinkle me in here. No, JJ wants to grip and rip it. He wants to take off, and I love that about him. So and then K's not going backwards. So it's like, look. This is not negativity. This is a potential situation that this is not fake. They will have to address this one way or the other. It's coming. So, and that's why let's go back to what we talked about today, recruiting. That's why it's important that you recruit and you're constantly restocking because it's hard. And this is the positive and also the downside of being a power program, right, guys, is that you're going to get the big time kids in, good players in, but it's hard to keep them all. It's hard.
And when you brought up Joe Burrow, actually, when you said the number 1 quarterback and before you made the rest of your statement, I thought you were going to talk about Quinn Ewers, who was the number 1 rated quarterback in the nation, who signed at Ohio State for the 2022 season, decided at the last minute during the summer to forego his senior season in high school to jump on the Ohio State roster early August. Like he didn't practice like the first couple of weeks of August. Of course, he's jumping on a roster where there's a lot of talent at quarterback, but no proven talent at quarterback. Nobody had thrown a pass on that roster before this season. Stroud takes the job. He wins the job. He plays well. And then Ewers makes his decision. Hey, I'm not going to start here. I'm going to Texas, and he leaves. Jack Miller, another quarterback out of those 4 that were either 4 or 5 stars, he did the same thing. So they've lost 2 out of the 4 guys that they had in the room. But if you're going to recruit at that level, to Desmond's earlier point, guys aren't going to stick around and be like, there's 4 of us here. This dude just went to the Heisman ceremony. I'm not starting, so I got to look for my opportunity. I'm going to go. I think coaches' challenges and their plan for how a quarterback's room is going to look down the road is more day by day than it used to be. It used to be more like, okay, we got this really good senior. He's going to play his senior year next year. We got a sophomore. He's developing well. Everything continues to go well. He's going to be the next guy. And boop, then we've got a freshman. Maybe we can redshirt him a year, stall him off another year. Then he'll be ready to take over. I got this 5-year plan. We're all set for the next 5 years. And if these 3 guys develop, we're good. Nope, can't do that anymore. You just recruit out of your mind and try to keep most of them and make the right decisions to get the right guys on the field. The interesting thing for Michigan, and maybe they've already hit this point in beating Ohio State and winning a Big Ten championship and being a Final Four team. How does Cade McNamara lose this job?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and now with every win, like if he wins a semifinal game in college football playoffs and gets
My
them to the
God.
championship game,
Yeah.
and then lo and behold, if he wins the national championship, how in the world do you allow him to be beat out the next? How do you evaluate that position? Even if you think JJ McCarthy's like a future NFL quarterback, he's a better talent, but Cade McNamara just won a national championship or got you to a national championship game.
And when you think about the eligibility, right, I think we probably can all agree JJ McCarthy is going to spend 2 more years in college and he's going to the NFL. Like, he's not going to stay
That's his
around another
plan.
year.
I'm sure that's his plan.
Right. Well, Cade's got that much eligibility left as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think
Yeah.
he's a redshirt sophomore. So he can have, he can have 2 more seasons. So, when you think about it, right, like in Mark's scenario, it's not as if JJ is a redshirt freshman and we're back in the early 2000s where guys stayed for 4 years and played that much. Now it's as soon as the iron strikes, I'm ready to go. I mean, we look at Mitchell Trubisky. I think he had 13 starts when he went, number 2 in the draft. Like, these guys are not
One good
well,
season. Yep.
and I don't want to blanket everybody, but most of them are not waiting till, their senior years. Like, everybody's not Andrew Luck. Guys are
Joe
looking
Burrow
to
had
go to the
an
draft
incredible season.
ASAP. And had Joe Burrow had that season the year before, he probably would have left. He probably
Yeah.
wouldn't have come back. So it's going to be very difficult, especially the scenario Mark laid out with Cade winning the Big Ten championship, beating Ohio State, winning a semifinal game, and winning a national championship. And just, taking a look at the comments, regardless of that, people are just like, no, JJ's the guy. JJ's the guy. Like, you are going to have a quarterback controversy for
Here's
sure.
also the problem too, guys, and I think this is the main pushback I was seeing when Mark posted it after Mark posted that video, is that people like to lean on the Michigan, those who stay will be champions, and like it's like this prideful. These guys love our school, like we love our school, and they wouldn't want to leave. And it's like, guys, you have to understand that there is a huge business element to this, that these guys have to make a business decision that could also go against emotionally what they want to do. Because when they make these decisions, it's not just them, they're talking to their parents, they're talking to their family, and they're like, they may be like, Cade, let's say Cade's the guy that has to leave. Cade may talk to his family, like his dad, mom, or whatever. It's like, hey, look, they may be like, I know you love it here, but, you did all this, you played well all season, and it never seemed like you fully got the reins, right? It took a while. And then you did all this, and it looks like they still want to go to this other kid. You have an opportunity here in other schools that were really like, and I know you like to be here, son, but you have to really consider your biggest options. There's a lot to go into it. So a lot of times you see these kids into the transfer portal, it's not because they're 100% gung-ho with what they want to do. There's a lot of different factors at play. So, and I think it's also important, guys, I don't know if you agree with me, us as fans, we have to rewire ourselves to also not get as attached to these recruits as we once did, because it is so volatile, in terms of guys coming and leaving. And you almost have, and you're seeing now with the NIL, college football is changing. It's becoming more of a semi-pro league or professional league, right? And it's going to be like that. And as fans, we have to approach how we view players like that. They can come and go as much as they probably want.
Yeah, and I think that's, and if I'm not mistaken, what I had heard was that it what played into Quinn Ewers reclassifying and going to Ohio State early was, I believe it was an NIL deal, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he would not have been able to have the deal had he done, had he stayed in high school. So he ended up going to Ohio State. But I think too, Dre, kind of what you mentioned is Michigan hasn't had this happen in the recent history, because I think, I mean, the biggest recruit at the quarterback position we've had in a while was Shea Patterson, but he didn't play like the 5-star that he was, right? So now you actually have those 5-star, and I don't know if Cade was 3 or 4-star, whatever he was, but you have quarterbacks playing at a high level and also that are rated very highly. So this is a bit of uncharted territory for Michigan and Michigan fans, but this is the reality. Like we just talked about with Ohio State. They just had half of their quarterback room transfer. It happened at Alabama with Jalen Hurts. He went to Oklahoma. Kyler Murray was at Texas A&M. He transferred to Oklahoma. Spencer Rattler just transferred from Oklahoma to South Carolina. So, I mean, when you get to high level football and you're bringing in these high recruits, these guys in this top 9 class, this is what is going to happen. And it's not just quarterbacks. Like that's what we're focusing on now, but it's the same with
Receivers,
running
tight
backs and
ends.
receivers and
Hey, Desmond,
guys see
Desmond,
the depth chart. They see,
Desmond.
my name is third on the depth chart. Go ahead.
It, Cade McNamara just had a pretty good season on the Josh Gaddis, right?
I would agree.
Just Josh Gaddis just won the Broyles Award, correct?
Yes, he did.
What's to say, Josh Gaddis gets his first head coaching job somewhere next year, right? And hey, you know what? You saw what Rattler did, following, I think, the offensive coordinator to USC or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Cade, and you're like, I like playing for Gaddis. I'm gonna go follow him. Let's say Gaddis gets his first job at, I don't know, give me a North Carolina.
Let's say
State.
Florida State. Who knows?
Florida State or North Carolina State. A nice little starter job. If I'm Gaddis, I'm definitely looking for Cade because like, hey, I know what this kid can do, and you know what I'm saying. Like those are the things that happen nowadays. Coaches lead, players follow, especially when they have they're familiar, right? So it's like that is a one wacky scenario, but it's very realistic and it happens all the time. So like it's just these guys you have to get used to when you're playing big boy level like Michigan is. You got to deal with stuff like this, and it's a good problem to have, but best believe it is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a problem. I think it's just life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe yes, that is another way of saying that it is a problem, but it's a tough thing. It's something that you have to manage as a coach, and for the most part, I've heard some coaches say that basically they're looking to sign a quarterback every other class essentially. So you just got JJ, so skip this class, and then the next class after that, looking to sign the best quarterback I can get. Wait a year and then get another one. Like it, and that is the cycle that you need because, like we just have talked about, guys transfer and they move on quite a bit. So you gotta deal with it. You got to deal with it.